Hi everyone, welcome back to Legally Yours. I'm here again with the absolutely brilliant Anthony Curtin from Merton Lawyers. Hi Anthony.
Hi, Karen. Nice to see you again.
Yes, nice to see you again. Thanks for joining me. So in this episode, what I was really keen to do was to delve a little bit deeper into the experiences that happened to you during the GFC. And let's then talk a little bit about what you're seeing in terms of startups and businesses now we're going through COVID and sort of some of the learning experiences that you have. So let me take you back, 2008. Not sure how much hair you had back then.
I had, I tell you what, it was a different story back then.
A
It
different
was,
story.
yeah, it looked good, but there were signs. Let's just say
It
there were
was
signs that it was moving backwards.
all right. So Anthony, you
Like
got
the
a bit of
market.
hair. You got a bit of hair. 2008 hits. So you were a practicing lawyer in a big firm back then.
Yeah, no, I was at Blake's in Sydney in the
Yeah.
corporate group. I had an awesome time there. Worked with a great team. And but yeah, look, I mean, a lot of deals were beginning to fall over in the market. And around that time, I think it was early 2009, I got made redundant. And it was funny. There was like, I don't know, like I'm always quite an optimist. And, I had such a nice time at Blake's, and I'm still really close with a lot of the lawyers there. And I still really, I admire a lot of the leaders there, and I still quote them. I actually bumped into one of the partners there in Sydney a few months ago, and so I was really great. But it was it was a new phase of my career and life, and I remember I'd actually been planning to travel and around that time as well for an extended period. So that travel time came a bit quicker, but I then also just made a few decisions. I was around 28, 29, and I thought, look, this is the time to really immerse myself in something I've always wanted to do, and start businesses. And really, tech, if you were an entrepreneur back then as well, I don't think it still has that. Like, you wouldn't even put it on your LinkedIn back then. I can't remember if LinkedIn was around, but
Yeah.
it was still a bit of not a dirty word, but it wasn't really acknowledged as much.
Yeah.
So I traveled a lot. I spent a lot of time in the US, in San Francisco and New York, and LA, and really just started to understand the tech scene over there. I was fortunate. My family member and my auntie was an exec at Google, so I kind of had this really great option to get immersed in the environment over there. And then really, I don't know what happened, but I came back and I needed to make some money pretty quickly, so I started my first venture, and that was obviously Melbourne Christmas trees, which tends to follow me to every single webinar that I do.
Because you love it. You love it.
No, I do. And look, it's
Yes.
and it's been such a great experience. And it's funny, I was just talking about it this morning with one of our emerging leaders at Mertons about how, pre starting my own business startup, really, I was, very rigid. But then going into that, wearing the founder's hat or toupee or whatever you want to call it, it was, you begin to start, you have to let go. And I really began to pick up skills that I hadn't had, and also just a lot of things like capital raising. And then from there, Christmas trees gave me a lot of runway. And so I went back over to the States, spent an extended period there, again in San Francisco. And it was pretty, like, it was different. New York at that time as well was not the New York from 3 or 4 years before. There were shops shut up. It was bleak. But you could still see, particularly in California, a lot of that emerging business, emerging ideas, and there was a fair bit of a wave coming. And for me, from there, really, I started putting some of the profits from Christmas trees into other investments. That turned into, a mining services company as well as a mining investment company, which, to be honest, now it's funny how now I'm probably not as interested in that space, probably more renewable and tech.
Yeah.
But it is just all part of the journey. And I think that GFC, it was a very trying time. And but it was also the emergence of a number of, obviously, new businesses you've got from that era.
Yes.
And also, I think it builds a lot of resilience again in people. You talk about, there was Bill Tye was talking at Giants webinar, which was run by Blackbird over the weekend, talking about a lot of the types of businesses that were developed out of that period, and really the ones that come out of that. He said, which I thought was so true, around being genuine and authentic, and because really, it's you can start a business in a heated market, but you're pretty legitimate if you're starting something in a down market and really having a crack. And I think from an investment perspective, that's what people look for.
Absolutely. And I really love a lot of what you said, and I just want to unpack it a little bit. So I think what really stands out. What really,
I don't know what else.
No. What really has always stood out for me about you is the fact that you have such a great mix of business and entrepreneurial spirit with the legal. And I really love that's how you really advise your clients too. You've got these hats that you can put on, and it's not, a lot of lawyers are very good at giving legal advice and they're very good at their legal expertise, but because you have actually been in the trenches, you've started these businesses, you've founded, you've had some success, some haven't worked, you've really gone the whole gamut with it. You can give that knowledge and expertise as well. That's part of it. You can really stand in the shoes of your clients, which I really love.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I hope that's what we plan to do, and that's really how we try and differentiate. And I mean, we're talking about how one of our lawyers is working in one of our startups at the moment that we've invested in and started with a really talented bunch of people. And it is important because like for instance, this lawyer who is 27, he's effectively taken over as a general manager. We've got a board meeting this evening where he's going to be presenting to the board on the product, customer feedback. He's also dealing a lot with the tech guys, as well as the product design, the user interface guys. So it is really important because you have to really understand the pain points, and also the challenges that they have, and building the product and where it's going to land. So yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, look, at the moment, I think just getting back to investment as well, like I think, there's a lot of people are wondering around about what's going to be happening with investment in tech and startups. But to be honest, like there's a great amount of investment coming through. We've actually seen from our end a lot of investment. The amount we've probably had more term sheets go out in the last month than we have in the last 6 months. Because I think, if you think like an investor, they're looking at, this is a down round now. And I think, there are businesses that are going into hibernation. And I'm sure there are also, if people had a business on the side that they're hoping to eventually leave their job for, they're probably going to put that on the side just for that security. But I think there are huge opportunities for founders out there, as there are for investors, just to get out there and really raise a bit of money, because come September, October, there'll be a few people standing, and if you're ready to go, you're ready to go. And I think it was David Yuan from TCV Investments was saying the other day that he reminds a lot of his from Silicon Valley. He reminds a lot of his investments that Facebook had a down round. They listed and then they had a down round. So it's this type of stuff happens, and I think there's still a lot of opportunity out there for for individuals.
And I love it. And it's such an important conversation. So thank you for having it with me, because I think that the market is a bit scared. And I think, like you say very rightly, there are people out there that maybe have gotten, a year or two into their sort of side hustle and were probably ready to pull the trigger and haven't, because of that fear, which is completely understandable. But it's really reassuring to know that there is money still out there. VCs are still looking to invest. And, if you can do some simple things right now to be ready for when, like you say, later on in the year, it might be worth exploring. So I would probably just say to anyone out there that's watching this, and this is kind of triggering off some little, little buzz inside them, absolutely get in contact with Anthony Curtin from Merton Lawyers, and you can find him at legalyours.com.au, or you can actually head direct to mertonlawyers.com.au, and don't be afraid. And even if it's, Anthony, it's just having a chat with you as well, you can certainly talk them through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
thrilled to.
Yeah.
And we're doing a lot of work with LaunchVic at the moment, a number of other accelerator programs. And I think a conversation, if that can, assist,
Yes.
we'd be more than happy to have that.
I love it. And you also work with investors too. So it's important to say
Yes.
that you work on the both sides, so you can even do some matching up there, which I love. Well, thank you very much, and stay strong and well. And
likewise. And all the best with the homeschooling. I know.
Keep laughing. It doesn't
I actually took yesterday, I took performing arts and PE.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very good.
So it was good. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like the online Mr. G, but it was actually over pretty quickly. And we got into, PE was pretty good. But
right. Well, I see
that's one of the challenges we have to go through.
And I see a new business on the horizon for you, which is online performing arts by.
No, I don't know about that. No, there'll be a few wigs in that one. I'll tell you what.
I love it. Well, thank you, and thank you for watching.
Thanks, Karen.
And we'll talk soon. Bye.